Now, I was having a bit of a sip of coffee, and as I was going through Game Dev Reddit, the question of how long is it going to take if I really locked in to make my game? It was a young developer asking. So about 5 years ago, when actually it wasn't five, it was longer. It was about 6 years ago. It's like 2019. I had a Discord call with Game Dev Underground. Game Dev Underground is actually a guy called Tim Ruswick. Now, Tim is was a solo developer back then, and he kept posting about his journey on YouTube, and he published a game called he developed and published a game called Philophobia. Really cool game. Honestly, you can check it out on Steam. It's really cool, and it's like $10. It's a fun, tight platformer which has a cool story to it, and he was able to make around $10,000 worth of revenue within the first few months of having the game out. So he was a good person for me to reach out to, and it was pretty welcoming, when I wanted to get some data from him. And we had a brief back and forth about how long it took him to develop and publish his first game. Keep in mind, he was doing YouTube, he was streaming for multiple hours every day. So that meant that he had to spend a lot of energy and focus to do that while also developing his game. So when I spoke with him, he mentioned that it took 4 years to develop, all things considered. But he stated that in terms of fully locked in time spent on that one game alone, it was 5 months. And I was reasonably happy to hear that, because when you hear about game development cycles of 2 years, 4 years, I don't think we all have 2 to 4 years to commit to maybe making money, in game development. I like 5 months. In fact, currently on the title that I'm working on, the goal is to have it out before midway next year. The fact of the matter is that you can have a fully developed, complete indie title out in 5 months of complete focus. And this is how it breaks down. A normal human being probably has 4 to 5 hours of deep work per day. And when I say deep work, I'm not talking about scrolling TikTok on the side, like opening up a separate web page, checking YouTube. I mean 100% deep in the source of your game development. The only time you open up a tab is when you're checking like documentation in Unreal Engine or Unity or Godot, whatever you're doing. Maybe the only interruption is to quickly check out a tutorial or a course because there's something you want to add in, but you're fully focused. 5 months, you can develop the systems, you can create the artwork, you can create the audio, you can record and engage all of like the voice acting you need for your game. It can be done in that period of time. If you have to spend about 5 hours per day of focused work, that's fine. That's the overview. But your finished game takes 500 hours. That means you need 100 days of absolute focus. But let's say you're a normal human being, so you can only work 5 days a week. So that means every day, 5 hours per week, you're able to put in 25 hours of work, quality focused work. Per month, that's 100 hours of quality focused work. And that means in 5 months, you'd have put in your 500 hours and you have an engaging game which players can play, and it's full and satisfying. And that's really what indie game buyers want, okay? A satisfying, well contained game that is unique, that they can enjoy. So that's just some food for thought. What do you think about the 5 months? It's fascinating because I checked in with Tim's channel, and he literally has a program where game developers can jump on, sign up. It's kind of like a teaching subscription, but more of you lock down with a bunch of other people in game dev and you target pushing out a game in 5 months. And they've already put, last I checked, that is about 11 titles, which is cool. I think it's a good and reasonable amount of time to just sit down and deathmatch to finish your game. And I love that it's a contained amount. You don't have to perfectly hit it, but having that time constraint, that pressure, will actually let you finish your game and you won't stay in limbo with a lack of clarity. Just some food for thought. I hope that's useful and helpful to you. Yeah,